Your phone is literally rewiring your brain right now. And no, that is not clickbait. Neuroscientists have a term for what happens when you spend hours scrolling through short videos, jumping between apps, and refreshing feeds. It is called digital brain rot. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what it is doing to you and how to reverse it. Here is what is actually happening inside your head. Every time you swipe to a new video or get a notification, your brain releases a tiny hit of dopamine. That is the chemical that drives motivation and reward. The problem is not one hit. The problem is that your brain is getting hundreds of these micro hits every single day. The average person checks their phone 205 times a day and spends 4 to 5 hours scrolling. That is more than a full workday every single week spent feeding your brain junk dopamine. So what happens when your brain gets too much dopamine too easily? It adapts. Your neurons literally reduce the number of dopamine receptors to protect themselves from overstimulation. This is called downregulation. And this is where things get scary. When your dopamine system downregulates, normal life stops feeling rewarding. Reading a book feels boring. Having a conversation feels unstimulating. Working on a long-term goal feels painful. Your brain has been trained to expect instant gratification, and everything that requires patience now feels like torture. This is not a theory. A 2026 study published in Nature Human Behavior found that heavy social media users showed reduced gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and long-term planning. In other words, the part of your brain that helps you make good choices is physically shrinking from excessive screen use. Oxford University named brain rot as their 2024 word of the year for a reason. It describes the mental fog, shortened attention span, and emotional numbness that comes from overconsumption of low-effort digital content. And it is not just affecting teenagers. Adults in their 20s and 30s are reporting that they cannot focus on a movie for 2 hours, cannot read more than a few pages of a book, and feel restless anytime they are not being stimulated. Sound familiar? But here is the good news. Your brain is neuroplastic. That means it can rewire itself in the other direction too. And the science shows you do not need a 30-day dopamine detox to start seeing results. You just need 3 targeted changes. First, create a 20-minute morning buffer. For the first 20 minutes after you wake up, do not touch your phone. This trains your prefrontal cortex to activate before your limbic system takes over. You start the day in control, not in reaction mode. Second, practice what researchers call deep attention training. Pick one activity that requires sustained focus, whether that is reading, drawing, writing, or playing an instrument, and do it for 30 uninterrupted minutes. The key word is uninterrupted. No phone in the room. This rebuilds the neural pathways that scrolling has weakened. Studies show measurable improvements in attention span within just 2 weeks. Third, replace dopamine spikes with dopamine slopes. Instead of getting quick hits from scrolling, pursue activities that release dopamine slowly and steadily. Exercise, learning a new skill, building something with your hands, or having a deep conversation. These activities strengthen your reward circuitry instead of burning it out. Here is the thing that nobody talks about. The apps on your phone were designed by teams of psychologists and neuroscientists whose entire job is to keep you scrolling. Infinite scroll, autoplay, variable reward schedules. These are the same psychological mechanisms used in slot machines. You are not weak for getting hooked. You are fighting against billions of dollars of behavioral engineering. But now you know how the game works. And that knowledge is your unfair advantage. Your brain built these patterns, and your brain can break them. It starts with one decision. Put the phone down for 20 minutes tomorrow morning and see how different your day feels. That is not a small step. That is the beginning of taking your mind back.